At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Don't chew on that, Max.
Cooper loves that chew too.
Oh, now he's into Cooper's food. Wow, he is loving it. What do you feed Cooper?
Blue Buffalo Life Protection Formula. He never leaves a crumb. I love it because it's made with high-quality protein, nutrient-rich fruits and veggies, and wholesome whole grains.
Looks like we're switching to Blue.
Blue Buffalo foods are made with the superior ingredients your dog needs to thrive. Can your dog food say that? Visit feedbluefood.com to learn more.
Smart, sharp, and slightly unhinged. Late Night's Fresh Perspective. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Devastation in Jamaica from Hurricane Melissa has left a lot of pets running around without shelter and injured. And I am here with veterinarian Dr. Cliff Redford, who's just returned from a mission to Jamaica to help out. Cliff, welcome to the program.
Thanks. Always good to be back.
It is vet talk. It is pet talk. It is cat life. It is dog death. Well, maybe dog life. Let's go with that one.
Let's try that.
It's not the first time you've, ran towards people who needed help, as opposed to me, where I just stay at home and feel bad about myself for not helping. Tell me about this hurricane, because it got reported when it first hit, but I feel like the devastation and how awful Jamaica had it during this hurricane and how quickly it went from like category not that worrisome to category a million. Like, we heard about it, but then the news cycle moved on and people out there still need a lot of help.
Yeah, they're being ignored. I don't know if it's like compassion fatigue, but Hurricane Melissa, I think it was going to hit Kingston, which is pretty much the only major city on the island. It was going to hit Kingston as like a category 3, and then these things change, and it ended up hitting a category 5 out of 6, and it hit the West End, so like Black River, Negril, places like that, a little bit of Montego Bay, and it ended up causing 120,000 people to be homeless.
Wow.
Like it and part of the problem is, it's a pretty impoverished country. There are areas that are not well developed with not a lot of infrastructure, and people are living in shacks that a lot of them built themselves, with very poor foundation and very poor structures. And then the roads are dirt. So the flooding was wiping out roads and causing collapses. Out of the, again, 120,000 people lost their homes and were homeless. And then I'm going to guess about half of the islands was either without electricity, without water, both, without a roof. People got devastated. And Melissa turned into now the most damaging hurricane since we've been recording hurricanes.
And it happened so fast.
It happened so fast. And so I was in Jamaica. It was one of it was my very first volunteer trip 9 years ago. I went there for 3 weeks. And it was volunteer-esque adventure travel. I was filming stuff, and I fell in love with the country. I made great friends. So when I saw this happen, I gave them a call. And then I started seeing some of the videos. Now, the videos were only on, like Jamaica Weekly Instagram page or not on regular mainstream news. And it looked like a giant Zamboni came and just wiped away communities. It looked like Gaza. It looked like this just massive destruction. So we ended up going down there. We worked with the JSPCA. We took care of animals that were injured. We started vaccinating dogs for a disease called leptospirosis, which is really kicked into high gear due to the still standing water.
That's a bacterial infection that can
be a
nasty one.
Yeah, it's really, really nasty. And it happens here as well. Raccoons, like urban raccoons, well, any raccoons, about 70% of them have leptospirosis, and they give them to your dog, et cetera, et cetera. And the problem is people were dying from it as well. And there's no vaccine for lepto for people. So we're trying to protect the animals, therefore protect the people. It was, as always, an incredibly rewarding and fulfilling trip. It was great to see my friends. I don't want to say we had fun because that would be weird, but it was definitely a positive experience. So much so that we're going to end up trying to go back every 4 months or so and really start to improve the animal health and therefore the community health in the area.
What are some of the stories when it comes to helping animals in an environment like that after a storm like that?
Yeah, like we had this one beautiful dog named Brindle that came in. So this is about 4 weeks after the hurricane that we were there. And again, we went up to Negril. They had enough of a system in place and a clinic that we could still work out of. And then people were coming in from the area. And this woman was from probably the hardest hit community of Black River. And she had 2 days before the hurricane hit, her dog started limping on its front leg and had this tiny little, nickel-sized bump. And then things got worse and worse. She ended up losing her entire barn. All but one of her sheep survived, which is unbelievable. But she also lost her roof, et cetera, et cetera. And so she had other things she had to worry about. She also couldn't get up to the clinic. She didn't have a vehicle. By the time we saw this dog, the swelling on its forearm was, it was the size of a giant grapefruit. It was
Wow.
enormous. And
What was it?
we ended up doing exploratory. Stupid me, I thought, it's just a foreign body or some sort of weird parasite. They have some pretty crazy mango worms and screw worms and whatnot there. But he actually had a sort of chip fracture, multiple chip fractures to his radius and ulna, his forearm bone. And so there were these pieces of bone floating around under the skin that we had to go and clean out and remove. And the swelling was basically a giant scar. It was just a giant granulomatous fibrous scar tissue. Brindle was doing much better, a whack of antibiotics, some really good pain meds. And she should do well. She actually doesn't need surgery, but a lot of rest. So there were situations like that. People came in, they said, look, we lost our dog or we lost our couple of cats. Here's our last animal. So if we can vaccinate her, if we can do everything we can, him or her, to make them healthy, we just can't lose one more pet.
For me, my apartment, like the home, it's not the furniture, it's not the location, it's not the paint on the walls. Honestly, the cat really makes the home feel like a home. And so when you've lost everything, to be able to hold on to your pets or get treatment so they survive really has this last semblance of home for people.
Yeah, and exactly. These animals are their family, and a lot of the people that were coming in, I think it was just coincidence. They were older. They were in their 50s, 60s, 70s. I'm in my 50s, so it's weird saying older, but their kids were out of the house. This was their only children, their only family that they were living with, and again, they had unfortunately lost some of or one of their pets, and they just needed, please, whatever we can do to keep, little Fluffy healthy. They were very, very appreciative, and and then there were the farm animals. Like there were, goats are a big thing, very valuable there. They provide milk for the people. Often their only source of sort of really good nutrition, that and just the fruits that are growing wild, which right now are none. Like all these jungle type areas completely stripped. Like the trees are gone. It's going to be years before they're back to what they were. So we're able to help them out. And then we did our last little bit, which was great and adventurous. And thank goodness I've got wildlife experience now. We did some work at the Hope Zoo in Kingston because people have been picking up wild birds, lizards, even they haven't been picking up crocodiles, but they've been calling the sort of animal control for these American crocodiles that were swimming down the street in these flooded areas and were injured. And so we got to help out.
You got to work on a croc?
Well, I didn't have to work on a croc because they were taken care of. But the funny thing is 9 years ago, I did eye surgery on this croc. We had to remove the eye. The croc had been shot in the eye with a spear gun. Someone was frightened. We're still trying to work on the community not being afraid of the crocodiles there. And the crocodile's still there.
Oh, the croc who you helped is still alive.
Yeah, and they didn't know the story. So they're like, "Oh, we always wondered what happened to this crocodile." And I was like, "Yeah, that was me."
'Tis the season to cozy up with all your favorite holiday movies and shows.
You coming?
Where?
To the North Pole, of course.
Like a very Jonas Christmas movie and Home Alone on Disney+.
Should I burn down the joint? I don't think so.
Then snuggle up with the Polar Express and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation with Hulu on Disney+.
I think we're all in for a very big Christmas treat.
This season, there's something for everyone with Hulu on Disney+. Bundle subscription required. Terms apply. Visit disneyplus.com/Hulu for details.
Why aren't you helping people? Why are you there helping pets? A rude question that we're going to tackle as we discuss the devastation of Hurricane Melissa in Jamaica, where Dr. Cliff Redford, a veterinarian, just was helping out with people's pets. First of all, I think I've talked to you about this before. There was a study done by, I don't know, someone. I have it up here now. It's got universities and doctors' names, and I can barely read it. But it was after Hurricane Katrina, looking at the people who refused or decided not to evacuate, between 150 and 200,000 people. And nearly half of the people surveyed said they didn't evacuate because they weren't allowed to evacuate with their pets. And after this study, the emergency FEMA organization in the U.S. changed their policy to allow for pet evacuations. People won't leave their homes unless they're with their pets. Now, in Jamaica, after the hurricane, I'm not saying people weren't allowed to evacuate because of their pets, but I'm saying people's pets are so important to them during storms and devastation.
Yeah, it's a huge factor, and I mean, you could get all sort of mystical about it, but stress relief and happiness is important for your immune system and your overall health. So you want people to be happy, and if that means taking care of their pets and helping them handle these horrific conditions and these incredible challenges, it's important. I do get that question occasionally. Now, sometimes it's, a podcast host like yourself or a radio host like yourself.
Well, it's both. And check out our podcast. It's called The Last Show. Look it up on wherever podcasts are found. Please go ahead.
Okay. And look, I get it that the interviewer is sort of bringing up questions that someone might be thinking. So they're just trying to stir the pot, and that's fine. But I do get the question occasionally from people.
I think it's a super important question to discuss because people have this view. I do not. And I bring up the Katrina example because pets are so important to people during these events, and helping the pets is helping people.
It is, absolutely. And I mean, again, in Jamaica, animals were dying from leptospirosis, this bacterial infection, and unfortunately, people were dying. And we don't have a vaccine for people. So if we can at least vaccinate the animals, that protects the people. There's a poster on the wall of the JSPCA, and I'm going to screw it up a little bit, but it's basically their sort of tagline where it's improving community health by maximizing health and wellness of animals. And it's basically that it's all connected. If we can control the pet population in countries like Jamaica, then there's less risk of bites, and there's less risk of other parasites and intestinal parasites and these screwworms and these maggot worms and things of that nature, and then diseases like leptospirosis. The other thing is I don't help out people because I'm not a human doctor, and I'm pretty sure there's laws about that. Now, when I get someone who asks me that question and they're being a pain in the rear and they're just trying to be mightier than thou, I'll actually ask them, I'll say, well, what are you doing? What are you doing for Jamaica? Or what are you doing anywhere? Or sometimes people will say, well, why do you go to these other countries and help animals? Why not help animals here? Now, I do. I volunteer regularly here as well. But I'll ask them, well, what are you doing? And, yeah, well, I rescued a dog from the shelter. No, you got a free dog. That's what you got. You didn't rescue him. You got a free dog. So it's never asked, like, legitimately from somebody. They never ask me that if they're volunteering. And they don't have to volunteer taking care of animals. You could work in a soup kitchen. You could help, you could read to kids. You could do this or that. But anyone who volunteers in any capacity of any frequency never asks that question. So if everybody would kick in and do something that they're good at, whatever it is, I happen to be pretty good at taking care of animals and talking on radio/podcast show. I think I'm pretty good. You keep asking me back. If everyone did a little bit, we'd be in a better place. So that's why I do it.
I just like looking at you. You got a cute beard is all.
I appreciate that. It makes me feel good too. It's, I feel good when I do it.
Yeah, not everyone's going to like go to a disaster site and start doing open heart surgery on the people who need it because not everyone
I don't
knows
do it
how
on
to
people.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say not everyone knows how to do open heart surgery, but you don't know. I'm sure you could do it on a person, but you might get in a lot of trouble if you tried.
Probably. And I don't know how I would get the person to wear a muzzle or one of those e-collars afterwards.
We'll talk about how you can get me to wear one, but that's for the, that's the after show.
That's the after show.
Cliff, yesterday on the show with one of our science experts, we covered a study having to do with animals, and it was such a fun topic. We got to hit it again. Researchers by accident discovered that cats meow more at men than women. They were just like studying vocalizations, and they had like recordings of cats at home, and they just noticed the male owners got meowed at more than the women. Discuss.
Yeah, and significantly more, like 2.5 times, 250% more talking and communicating to the men when they walk in the door versus the women. The thing I thought it was funny about this was the whole article talked about, hey, these cats are playing favorites. Maybe dogs aren't man's best friend. Maybe cats are man's best friend. But then in the end, they ended up deciding the reason the cats are doing this is because the men are less talkative and essentially ignoring the cat.
Yeah.
So the cat is asking for attention. So basically, dogs are man's best friend and cats are nagging them.
Wow. How about men aren't attentive to the needs of the cats?
Whose side are you on?
I'm on the cat side. You know I'm a cat guy. I believe you're secretly a dog person. I believe you condescend to treat cats, but I don't know if you love cats like I do.
I do not love cats like you do.
Mm.
I've had one cat my entire adult life.
Dogs are so boring. Like, who wants unconditional love? I want to earn my love, okay? I want someone who comes to me on their own terms because they want to hang out with me, not because like they have a genetic instinct to love me.
Earn love. That's why I married my Greek wife. I mean, I'm constantly having to earn her affection. I keep waiting for her to meow and purr at me and rub her head against my leg. But
that's for the after show. That's for the after show. Yeah.
Right. Sorry, I keep getting confused here. What's going on?
When I first heard about the study, I'm like, why would anyone ever study that? But I guess because they discovered it by accident, it makes it a little more justifiable.
Well, they didn't discover it by accident. They took 31 homes and they put GoPros on their chests to record it and then specifically watch the 100 seconds. We've talked about this before. These studies, people are like doing studies to get grants. I want a grant to do a study to figure out what studies get most grants.
Wow, that is, and then I'm going to get a grant to study your study. And when will it end?
And exactly.
No, they were just looking at vocalizations. They weren't trying to do like, oh, cats treat men, cats treat women differently. Yeah,
that's true. I get that. But again, it's like, what exactly is the point of this study? And then at the end, they said, this was done in Turkey and it was only done with 31 cats. So more research is needed. Really?
Side note, have you been? I've never been, but have you been to Istanbul? Apparently there's just cats running around that city. Everyone loves cats. The Turks and the Istanbulvilles, they love cats so much. And so it does not surprise me that it was done there.
I have not been to Istanbul, not Constantinople. Do you know that song?
Yeah, of course.
Right, sorry.
Istanbul, not
Constantinople.
But
anyways,
no, the cats
I have not been
hang
there.
out.
Apparently there's a lot of cats.
Yeah, the cats hang out on the subway trains. Like they're everywhere, and the people love them and feed them. And Cliff, what a pleasure! Check out Cliff's podcast. It is called Vet Life. Cliff, thanks for coming on the show and talking to us about your trip to Jamaica.
Thank you.
Doug.
Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu, is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.